Hello everyone. We are making French onion, ground beef, and rice casserole. So what you're gonna need is some ground beef. I have about 1.5 pounds of ultra lean chopped sirloin here. We are gonna need some beef stock, some Worcestershire sauce, some crispy fried onions, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, some parsley, and that's just for garnish on the top when it's done. We're gonna need some black pepper, salt, onion powder, garlic powder. We're gonna be using a little bit of butter. We're gonna use some mozzarella cheese, and I'm gonna be using some mild cheddar, and you can honestly use any kind of cheese that you want. I just wanna use this mild cheddar up, so I'm gonna use that. But I've done it both ways. I've used cheddar cheese, sharp cheddar cheese, provolone. You can even use Parmesan if you want. You can use Munster cheese, any kind of cheese you want. And we're gonna need some long grain white rice. We're gonna need 1 onion. I have 3 garlic cloves here. We're gonna need a little bit of the Better Than Bouillon beef base. And then in this container here, I have my homemade French onion soup. So I just made this a couple weeks ago, and then I froze a container of it. I'll make sure to put my link to how I make my French onion soup in my description as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clear off the stove. I'm going to start off with cooking my ground beef. While my ground beef is cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and dice up my onion. But once we are ready for the next steps, I'll be back. But yes, in the meantime, just go ahead and start browning your ground beef and slice up your onion. Now I add my onion when the ground beef is almost all the way done. So I will add the onion then, and then cook it for a little bit until the onions are translucent. And then the last couple minutes, I'll add my 3 garlic cloves. I'm gonna actually use as my garlic press. So if you have a garlic press, you can do that a while as well. But yeah, I will be back once we're ready for the next steps. Okay, I just wanted to pop back on here to let you all know. I went ahead and added my garlic powder, salt, onion powder, and black pepper. I would say for the onion powder and garlic powder, at least a tablespoon, because we're going to be adding rice to this. We want it to be flavorful. Black pepper, about the same for me. I love black pepper, about a tablespoon. And then the salt, I just did 5 twists of salt. So what I'm doing right now is getting ready to finish cutting up my onion. I will come back in here and just stir the beef. But yes, I'll be back once we're ready for the next step. Okay, I browned my ground beef. Now we're going to take our diced onion. You're going to add the entire onion. And we're just going to stir this around and cook it until the onion is translucent. And then I do have my garlic over here. Once the onions are translucent, we'll go ahead and add the garlic and then just cook that for a few minutes. But when we're ready for the next step, I'll be back. Okay, our onion is translucent, so now go ahead and add your garlic. We're just going to cook that for 3 minutes or so. Just continue to stir it. Once I let it cook for a few minutes, I will be back to show you what we do next. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And we're going to add 1 cup of beef stock. And we're going to add, I have about 2.5 cups of my homemade French onion soup. Now, you know, I know not everyone just has some homemade French onion soup sitting, you know, in their fridge or freezer, but what you can do is you can just buy 2 cans of the Campbell's French onion soup, and that would be totally fine. Now, if you happen to make your own French onion, you can just use some of that. But yeah, you can definitely buy the French onion soup that is in a can. Now, I believe they're like 10.5 ounces, so it's going to be pretty close to the 2.5 cups. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 heaping spoonful of the Better Than Bouillon beef base. Going to get it back up to close to a boil here, and once that happens, I will be back to show you what we do next. Okay, now I already did do this, but you're going to add another 1 cup of your beef stock. So in total, it was 2 cups of beef stock and 2.5 cups of the French onion soup, Or if you're using the Campbell's French onion soup, you're gonna use two 10.5-ounce cans. So what we're gonna do now, since this is coming up to a boil, what we're gonna do is add our entire can of cream of mushroom soup, and you're gonna just mix it very well into this beef mixture here, and then I will be back when we're ready for the next step. Okay, I got the cream of mushroom soup incorporated into our mixture, and this is what we're looking like. I did go ahead and I turned off the heat. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna add 2 cups of rice and give that a good mix. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and then go ahead and butter your casserole or baking dish. So I already have mine buttered here. And what we're gonna do is once you stir the rice and get it all incorporated, we're gonna transfer this entire pot over to our casserole dish. We're gonna take some aluminum foil and we're gonna cover it tightly. We're gonna bake it for 20 to 30 minutes. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring it back out. We're gonna top it with our cheese. We're gonna place it back in the oven until the cheese is all melted. But once I get it into our casserole dish, I'll just give you a quick peek to show you what it looks like. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And what I do is I did go in and just give it a stir with my spatula just to make sure the rice is all mixed through. So now what you're gonna do is go ahead and cover it with aluminum foil, place it in your 350 degree preheated oven, and set your timer for 20 minutes. It's gonna cook anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. But yeah, once that is complete, I will be back to show you what we do next. Oh, and what I'm also gonna be doing is while this is in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and grate my mozzarella cheese, and I'm gonna grate the remainder of the cheddar cheese that I have. So once we're ready for the next step, I will be back. Okay, so what I did was I baked it covered for 40 minutes. I just pulled it out of the oven, I gave it a stir, and then what I did is, it's already starting to melt, but I did really thin slices of butter. So 11 slices. So what I'm gonna do is just put this back in the oven for just a couple of minutes. Once the butter is fully melted, we're gonna bring it back out, and then we're gonna top it with our cheeses. So I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, our butter is melted. So now what we do, I always start with mozzarella. So I did end up shredding the entire 16-ounce block of mozzarella cheese. And you know me, I love cheese, so I'm going to be using it all. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and just finish adding all of your mozzarella cheese on top. Now, if you didn't wanna use the entire 16-ounce package, you don't have to. I just love cheese, so I will use it all. And then once you add all of your mozzarella that you're gonna be using, then you're gonna go ahead and just sprinkle the cheddar cheese on top, and then just put it back in the oven uncovered until the cheese is nice and bubbly. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna top it with our crispy fried onions. Now I like putting them back in the oven for a little bit. So once I get to that step, I will be back. But if you don't wanna put it back in the oven once you add the onions, you don't have to. So first things first, we're gonna do the cheese, the mozzarella, add the cheddar, put it back in the oven uncovered until the cheese gets nice and melted. Once we do that, I will be back. Just wanted to pop back on quick to show you what it looks like, and also just to let you know, I did use the remainder of the 8-ounce block of cheddar. I had probably about 3/4 of 8-inch block of cheddar cheese left, so I just used the remainder of it. But like I said, if you're not a cheese lover, if you don't want to use as much cheese as I did, you definitely do not have to. But now we're just going to put this back in the oven until the cheese is all melted, and then I'll be back to show you what we do next. Okay, our cheese is melted. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our crispy fried onions on top, and then just put it back in the oven until they get a little golden on top. And you can honestly put as many or as little as you'd like, but I'm going to use both hands so I don't make a mess. So we're going to do that. Go ahead and put your crispy fried onions on top, put it back in the oven, or if you don't want them crispy or golden in color, you can just put the crispy fried onions on, leave it sit on the cooling rack for about 15-20 minutes until it sets up, and then go ahead and cut it. But I'm gonna finish doing this and then I will be back. Okay, our crispy fried onions are nice and golden in color, just how I like them. And I did use the entire 6-ounce package of those crispy fried onions. So now what we're gonna do, just gonna top it with a little parsley just to make it look pretty. And if you have fresh parsley, you can definitely use fresh parsley if you'd like. And then now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna let it sit here for 15 to 20 minutes. I'll probably do 20, just to make sure it all sets up so that when you cut it, it doesn't go all over the place. There we are. Looks delicious. I cannot wait to eat this. All right, we'll be back in about 20 minutes or so, and we'll give it a cut and give it a taste. Okay, our French onion ground beef and rice casserole is done. And I did leave it sit for 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Look at all that cheese. Yum. Whoop. It's gonna be a huge bite. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely delicious. I love the crispy onions on top. Gives it, you know, that little crunch. Nice and cheesy. It's full of flavor. Love it. Absolutely delicious. Look at that. It is so good, you guys. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. And if you make this recipe, let me know how you like it. But I hope you all have a great day and a great rest of your week. And I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.